y'all ain't getting nothing for free.
What's up, everyone? It's your boy, The Business, coming back at you live for episode 41 of The Business. Let's be real. Tonight's special guest is going to be Herbz2Fresh. We've had Herbz on previous shows. He's a big UFC advocate. He loves to watch fights. He loves to watch MMA of all sorts, not just UFC. I mean, when he and I have chats, man, we talk about all kinds of different fighting from all kinds of different divisions. And it's cool to get him on because he's a good brain to pick. He gives you good analysis on his side of things and how he looks at fights and, how he breaks them down. And, it's good to chop it up with this dude. And we have a good time when we get a chance to do it. We were doing it a little bit before the show, and we're excited to go ahead and deliver that to you guys today. So, hey, with that being said, The Business, let's be real. Episode 41 begins now. Herbz2Fresh, how you doing tonight, man? How you doing, big guy?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Excited. We watched a good card last night. You and I were chatting before the card, chatting during it, chatted afterwards, and we're both excited with the card. We were talking about as of late how UFC's been dropping some cards and they've kind of underachieved what we were hoping they were going to, and last night's card didn't do that. It didn't rock the boat. I think it really came through. We saw some good fights, and you and I talked about it earlier, and we're going to talk about it here now.
Definitely. Past couple weeks have been actually really good. So
yeah, no, I mean, leading up to this, there's been some good fights, but I think the cards as a whole weren't as delivering as I was hoping for. But last night's card I thought did deliver.
Yeah, if you were comparing last week's to this one probably edged it out just off brutality alone. But last week you got to see my Kamzat. I don't know. However you want to say it. Kamzat. It's gonna be so hard to say all these UFC names because they're all gonna be Dagestani, Russian, fucking names you never even heard of. Or you can't even hardly read it, so it's gonna be hard to say you can't read it.
Yeah, no, that kid was tough last week, and I know who you're talking about. You're talking about the one kid. Yeah, he picked up the dude and walked over and was talking to Dana White and slammed him on the ground. And they were talking about what that dude's only been hit one real significant strike in the last 4 fights and shit, right?
And the one shot was a shot that somebody did behind their back type of shot because he was on them.
Oh,
so, it wasn't even a real shot.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, that kid's up and coming. He's great to watch. Really fun. I think that he's going to be somebody good to watch. And like I said, we saw some good fights last night. We got some good fights coming up. I know your boy Sean's coming out on the card here soon. On the same card, I know that him and Cody are fighting on the same card, but I don't know if it's going to turn out to be where it's a setup for maybe somewhere down the road him and Cody finally get in the ring and get it on.
So what is that, December 11th or
the 11th or the 19th or something?
I think the 18th is the Jake Paul fight.
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah, you're right.
I think it's the 11th.
And that's going to be out here. I live right south of Tampa, so it's going to be chaos out here during that. So that's going to be a funny one. I don't know what your thoughts are on those fights. I do watch those cards, which is kind of funny. You know what I mean? I don't try to knock it because I do watch them to see if I'm going to see something different because it's still a combat sport to me, regardless, even if it's a YouTuber, you know what I'm saying, getting in there doing it. The kid's training, he's working hard, so I got to give him that respect that he's trying to fight. I don't know how this fight's going to go on with him and Fury, but we'll have to see, right?
I'm liking it so far.
Yeah, but no, I've seen some good cards with that. I think that excuse me, last night's card was good. I guess if you want to try to start to get into last night's card a little bit.
Did you want to start with the big boys? The first 3 fights, they went to a decision. And compared to the rest of the fights that we can talk about, those would be the boring fights. I can't even tell you who they are. I mean, I'd have to look on the card to see that.
I have the card. I'm not so much worried about those earlier fights that you were talking about that were who they were. I mean, it's nobody that we would look at just yet until the Chris Barnett fight, which that fight was an action-packed little fight. We were talking about that earlier. You want to talk about a little bit about that Chris Barnett fight?
Yeah, that Barnett guy, he's definitely entertaining. He cuts weight, I'm assuming, to get to the 264 that he weighed when he but Vellante, I don't know what happened to him, because he used to fight at 205, and he used to be like, they used to joke about him like having a hard time cutting at 205 and how he's just out of shape and he doesn't eat right, doesn't take care of himself. That used to be some running joke that they used to do all the time, but
yeah, definitely
lost it now. He's so huge. I've never seen him this big. He weighed in at 260 pounds, but he used to fight at 205. I don't know. He used to get out of shape, but he weighed like 240 pounds at the most.
And that's a lot of weight to drop though to 205. 35 pounds is a lot, but I mean you can do it over.
Oh, I'm saying on his just his last fight. Later on in his career, he moved up to heavyweight, but he used to fight at like 230 to 240 in heavyweight. Now he came in at 60 pounds. He looked like he just got off the couch eating some potatoes.
And he might have. Who knows? He might have put down the Twinkies in the video game for long enough to be like, "Hey, you want me to fight? I'll be right there."
Not to be fair, you could say the same thing about his opponent, but he's always been like that. I'm actually. He looks like somebody that might have lost weight to get down to what he's at.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Well, I like the way the big guy moves though. Like he's very, you know what I mean? Like him and the little dancing coming to the ring. You and I were laughing about that. You were like, "Did you see him dancing?" I was like, "I did see him dancing."
He was doing some stuff, yeah, but he was entertaining. And the way he finished him is like, I mean, I never seen somebody that big throw something like that before. He threw a spinning heel kick or something like that.
Yeah, that spinning wheel heel kick, like clapped him on the side of the head, like "Bow!" I was like, "Whoa!"
But I mean, how do you see his career going? Do you think that big guy is going to be able to fight somebody in the top 5?
I have no idea. He'd have to definitely, I mean, get into a different training regimen. But you and I know now we've seen big guys that look like they're out of shape be able to succeed in that division. Not everybody's going to be built like a Francis Ngannou. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? Like that's a prototypical like heavyweight beast. You know what I'm saying? Like when you see and you think of somebody like you think of like guys that are built like him and Cyril Gane that are going to be the guys that are at the top of the tier. And I think that's what you're getting at is like, can you see this dude competing against those guys and making it a real fight? I don't know. I don't know if he's got the stamina to go as long as some of those guys can go too.
Yeah, but I mean, the guys like Derek Lewis and Roy Nelson, they were all in good camps. This guy trained.
Yeah, talk about that. Talk about what you heard about Barnett and his training and how was it, because I didn't know that. You had told me that before the show that's what he, you know what I mean, that he trains himself and he's out of his own school.
Yeah. And he's his own master of the gym. Like he's his own trainer. He trains himself. So I mean, he trains himself. He's not the most fit person, even though he does move good. But then you have to throw in the for a big guy. You know what I mean? So, but compared to the other elite level, like Gane, you think Gane can't piece this guy up and not get to time? Like he's sloppy. He comes in with his head down. If you go against even like Dos Santos, he would throw a knee up to this guy's face and just knock him out. He's good against if you want to see somebody like brawling with their heads down and like that kind of fight. But
Yeah.
I mean, it would be interesting. Derek Lewis, I think, would knock him out really spectacularly. But I mean, he's definitely got to fight some lower tier guys. To be fair, it's his second fight in the UFC. His first fight did not go his way. It looked kind of bad. But I mean, he made up for it with this spinning heel kick right to the back of this guy's ear. I don't know. So, I mean, I guess it's one fight at a time for him, but I see him having a hard time. I don't think he's that young.
I don't think he's that young either. He didn't look like he was that young, but I mean, I don't remember seeing the tail of the tape on his age either, though. So I wasn't looking at it like that.
I don't think he's young. He trains himself, and he probably has maybe a few years. It is heavyweight, so they do go into their 40s. So
yeah.
Hey, good luck with him. But I don't think he'll be top 8. You know what I mean? I got to look at the heavyweights. I know the heavyweights haven't been that great. You know, things around changing, and there is a lot of big guys coming in that are definitely going to make some noise soon. But
that's true.
He's just too short. You see how little he looked? He was like so stubby. He got little arms and he's a little.
I know he's not built like that prototypical guy, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like in that Francis Ngannou and Cyril. I mean, those guys are built like gods, bro. You know what I'm saying? They're 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds, 245 pounds of just shredded beef, and they can punch like Mack trucks. And
watch the height difference on those guys, though. Put Francis Ngannou next to this guy. Francis Ngannou he's like 260 pounds, just like this guy, 265 pounds, just like this guy. But he's also like 5 inches taller than this guy, 6 inches taller than this guy at least.
Yeah.
This guy, I think, is only 5'9".
Oh, was he that small?
Francis Ngannou's 6'4".
Yeah.
This guy's reach is probably 10 inches or more smaller than Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou can jab this guy from way farther away than this guy can hit Ngannou.
Yeah.
And then just think about all the other people that are just at least tall. Like, he's going to have a hard time getting in on people that know how to throw a jab. Like, Vellante, like I said, looked like he just ate potato chips right off the couch. Out of shape ever been. Had no movement. Looked horrible. I don't know. We got to get off this. He was horrible. I used to like him. I don't know.
All right. Let's move on then from the Chris Barnett and Jay Vellante looking like he just got off the couch. The next fight, you and I talked about a little bit about Ian Gary earlier. We were more joking about the situation, but I think the kid looked tough. I mean, he was quoting his buddy Connor after the fight, saying they're not there to take part, they're there to take over. So I don't know what you think about that, what you think about the kid. I mean, you said some good things about him, how long he was and shit like that. I mean, go ahead. Talk to me about Ian Gary.
First off, we could talk about the Band-Aid he was wearing all week, and then when we see the fight, he was talking about he had a scratch, but then when you see in the fight, he actually had like a herpes in the corner of his lip, but it's whatever. It was scary for him in that first round, real scary, because he was talking all week on Ariel's show. He's been talking all week in the media and all that about how he's going to run through this guy, the Island Boy guy, Williams. I don't know. He's talking a lot, but good for him. He did knock him out for the round, and it was a crazy knockout. He put him out hard, but it was close. It was close. He definitely got lucky with that at the end of that round.
Yeah. No, it was good. I mean, you and I are the same way, though. We think a lot alike. I mean, I like to see these young kids come up and talk a little trash, and then you like to see them get checked a little bit. Not even so much with the loss. It wasn't, but see them get hit and make it to where you're not sure. I think that's huge to do that because you can show a little bit of character when you're able to come through something like that and then still come out with a knockout by the end of the first round. Because like I said, I think he's a funny young Irishman coming up. It'll be good to watch his little career. But I'm excited. I'm excited for all these young guys coming up. I want to see some new blood, some guys that are going to make a stand for the future, that we get to watch some good fighters come up.
His problem is he's in the 170-pound division, and if he's going to fight, like, he's young. He's 23, I think.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of time. But right now, they better not throw him to the wolves because he is not ready. He is not ready. You can see in the gym he's probably knocking everybody out. And he was really good at the Cage Warriors, and he was the champion of the Cage Warriors, but it's a different level. The competition in the UFC, like he just found out, because Williams, I've seen him fight before. He is nothing special, and he almost got pieced up by this guy. So I don't know. He was getting punched around real good in that fight. And every time he come in, he got catching him. So.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, to see him go through a little adversity good. They need to, go through that shit. I think that's what makes those soldiers that we get to watch, like, the Justin Gaethjes and the Michael Chandlers of the future, when you get busted up a little bit,
But the UFC in the back is like, God damn it, because when they first come in, that's supposed to be a crazy statement. Like, look how good I am. They can't even touch me. The first couple fights that they give them, it's supposed to be like, you can't touch me fights. And then he already got hit a few times. He was bleeding. So he doesn't have like a flawless, like when Conor came in and he knocked out like Abreu or whatever that Brazilian dude, and he knocked out and the cyborg guy, not the cyborg guy, but that black dude that used to wear that fucking Dragon Ball Z black. I forgot his name, but he knocked them all out, and he didn't even get touched in those fights. And this guy, his first fight in, he was already bleeding. So hopefully they just don't throw him to the like top 15 right away.
Nah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Do you want to keep going with this undercard, or do you want to kind of jump into the prelims?
Well, you mean?
Well, I mean, I was going to try to jump into either the Imavov fight or the Chris Curtis fight. Like, you tell me where you want to go next.
Yeah, you can talk about the Imavov.
Yeah. I mean, that was a good fight. I mean, I know you probably watched a little bit of that fight, because I mean, that fight didn't go long. It went into the second round, I think. And Imavov in the first round was locking up all kinds of guillotines and stuff. You know what I mean? And it looked like he had him. I mean, he had a couple of darces locked in, but he was in awkward positions, and the other guy was able to shake him off and rotate. And I thought he was going to wear his arms out in that first round, all the guillotines and darces that he tried. But no, he came back in the second. He did his thing. So what do you think about that fight? What did you see in the Imavov fight?
Well, Shabazian, the one that he was going against, had a lot of hype when he first came in because he came from Ronda Rousey's camp.
Okay.
But they haven't been doing very well. He caught him in a crucifix. That's not good if you can get caught in a crucifix. That's like a pro versus an amateur. Like, I don't know what kind of
slapping him with elbows there too at that point. That shit was.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of ground level skills Shabazian has, but it didn't look very good. And with a name like Imavov, it's not going to go well if you ain't got a ground game. So if somebody could get you on the ground and pin one arm with their legs and the your other arm with their other hand, and then start smashing you with elbows, it's not big.
Yeah, it was. I mean, but like I said, in that first round, though, I mean, he locked up like 2 guillotines, a couple of darces, and I really thought he was gonna, like I said, blow his arms out there because you know what that can do sometimes. We've seen a lot of guys go 2 minutes in a darce and then they get up and they can barely move their arms in between rounds because their arms are like disc for so long that they're like, oh, and their arms are cramping up, and but it didn't look like it affected him. I mean, like you said, he was able to, put the one arm in between the legs, open up the other arm, drop some elbows, finally get the referee to stop it. I think it was getting a little bit out of hand, but no, I mean, like that was a good little fight. That really started that prelim card. Nice. I think that was a good fight to get that one started off, too. Like, and then that Chris Curtis and Phil Hall's fight, they were supposed to fight what they say, like a month ago or something, right? And Chris Curtis had taken in like a 1 day's notice, was going to fight this dude, and then they ended up giving him like a month. They're like, oh. And then after the month, you see what Chris Curtis was able to do. I mean, did you catch that fight? That fight was a pretty good fight. I mean, he was clapping.
I watched that one too. That was definitely a good fight. That dude was big too, yo. Like that was a good one because that Haas was definitely putting it on him, and out of nowhere, like Curtis just caught him, like boom.
He's like stumbled, and he was like, "Wait, what?"
He went on 6th Street, Queer Street, whatever you want to call the street. He was on that street walking, and he was walking with some chicken legs, and then out of nowhere, like 8 seconds later, he just went down off that shot. I don't even think he really got caught with another shot. It was just like he kind of like realized his body was shutting down, and he just fell, and then it was a delayed reaction, but that was definitely one of the hardest shots. He clipped him perfect.
Yeah.
It took him a minute. Like I said, he was like, he must have been out on his feet because by the time he came to, he just like fell down out of nowhere. So that was definitely a weird ending, but it was definitely a violent hook. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was that in itself, I think, was then the turning point of the show where they really, like, guys started then getting knocked out, like with big knockouts then at that point. And I guess, I mean, because then we went to Bobby Green and Al Iaquinta was next fight. And I don't know I don't know how much you followed Al Iaquinta. I mean, I've followed him a little bit, and he's always seemed to underachieve to my liking. You know what I'm saying? Like there was this big hype around Al Iaquinta when he was coming out, and you know this to be true, that, everybody thought he was going to be the next superstar coming up. And I don't know. I just never got that from him. Like every time I watch him fight, he never looks great. Like, I don't know. What did you think about that fight with Bobby Green and Al Iaquinta?
I always thought Iaquinta was like a Frankie Edgar. Like he's just like a tough nose in your face, like not too much head movement. You can jab him, but he'll come through your jab and try to take your head off, and then he'll try to take you down at the same time. But Bobby Green was just catching him with every jab. He couldn't even get near him, and you could tell Green was confident. He had his hands all the way down. Iaquinta is looking up at his face, and Iaquinta was out for 2 years, so he had a long layoff like he usually does. He has like a 2-year layoff, 3-year layoff. He's always like not fighting for a couple years and he comes back. So that's definitely another reason. He definitely lets you know that he sells houses. So, I mean, that's probably his main focus in life is selling houses. Yeah. So I always liked Iaquinta. Like I always thought he was like,
I like the kid. I just feel like he underachieved to what the hype was about him, though.
Like he did really good against Khabib, but against lower level competition, he can't. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He like underachieved for me. Like I don't know. I like the kid too, though. I had nothing against him, but I just felt like he never got to that plateau that I thought that he could have got to, because I thought he was a pretty good kid. And I mean, he's still young. I think he can continue to fight. He's just got to get his head done right.
Yeah, he just takes too much time off.
Let's pop into the Alex Pereira and Michailidis fight. Like, let's talk a little bit about that. I guess the background of who Alex Pereira is. You want to talk about that?
He's a 2-time glory kickboxer. He's He's known for knocking out Israel Adesanya twice in kickboxing, and I mean, that's all I really know from him. But
but I mean, he had some hype coming into this fight because this was his first UFC fight, isn't that correct?
yeah, I think he's had 4 MMA fights altogether.
Okay,
But
I'm like, they just signed him, right?
This is his first UFC fight, but I'm pretty sure he had 4 or 3 other fights, and this was his 4th fight or something like that. Something about 3 or 4 fights before the UFC. I'm assuming he did, because I don't think they would put him right into an MMA match right away in the UFC. I mean, they would, but I don't think he would do that because he's probably smart, and he probably fought a couple people that were at a lower level.
Yeah.
To like see if he can defend takedowns, because that's all he really needs to learn. If he can defend takedowns, that's all he needs to do. He'd be right up there with Israel Adesanya, and Izzy would probably be like, "Oh shit, we gotta fight him again." But he's definitely got a long ways to get to him. He's got a lot of people that can take him down.
That's true.
Before he gets to Izzy, a lot of people.
Yeah. But if he can get a good defense, a good stand-up defense, because I mean, in that first round, you know, he was like getting pushed up against the fence, and you know, they were trying to limit his kickboxing so that he wasn't able to do what he eventually did to the guy. But that's how kickboxers are able to bait a wrestler, you know, is by being able to get him into a defensive stance to where the wrestler then has to shoot on you in order to get in, because you're picking them off from deep. You know, with the kickboxing, they eventually got to come in, and when they come in with their head down, you know, they're there for that flying knee, and he connected with that flying knee pretty viciously, don't you think?
That's what he does. He's a kickboxer, and if you're not gonna be able to get him down to the ground, you're gonna have a hard time trying to stand up and try to go against somebody that's technically the best stand-up fighter in the world. He won 2 different championships in Glory at 2 different weight classes. And these ain't little weight classes. These are big boy weight classes. And not the biggest looking dude, but I guess he's like made out of fucking steel or something. Like, that guy, they were in a clinch in that first round, and the dude has like a giant bruise like on his whole side of his face. And there wasn't even really a punch. I think he just hit his face on his body somewhere. Yeah,
I believe it. I mean, the dude looked like he was shredded. I mean, let's not get it twisted. I mean, and I hear nothing but, you know, good stuff about this dude. Like, he is the next up and coming fighter. I think this is the one that people need to keep an eye out on. I think Alex Pereira is going to be the one from this card that's going to continue to blow up. Like, a lot of these guys are well settled into, like, once we get to the next couple of fights, you and I will talk about. I mean, those fighters, a lot of them are, you know, made men kind of in the way of you know, MMA. So it's like, I think Alex Pereira is made on the kickboxing side. Now he wants to get into that MMA and really make a statement as to what kickboxers are capable of. And yeah, you know, I think he's young and up and coming. I think that, you know, but like you said, he's got to still make his way through some other top-notch wrestlers. And
I think he's 35 years old, though. I think he's 35, isn't he?
I think he was older. He looked older. Like, in his face, he looked older, but his body was like shredded. Yeah. He was like this long, shredded beast, dude.
He's 35 years old, and he's in the 185-pound division, which is stacked. So I think he doesn't have much time. And throwing him against like an actual top 10 wrestler, like the other guy, like Barnett, like they have no takedown defense, and they're gonna get taken down, and they're not gonna be able to get back up. The difference between the guy that he just got up against when this guy took him down, like, you could see the guy did take him down, I think, for a second.
I think
he got right back up, and then he held him up against the cage for a little while. Like, he wasn't very good at that kind of stuff because he's used to breaking. He's used to like having a stand-up fight and the referee breaking him apart every time they clinch. So if you can get somebody that can clinch or just take him down, it's going to be hard, and he doesn't have that much time. So he's got to go against strikers. If UFC wants to make some money, they can put him against strikers. If they want to get him out of there and prove a point with him, they're going to put him against wrestlers. So I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. The next fight on the card was a big fight. I know you and I were both looking forward to this fight because we know these are two little bangers that, you know, this is what they do for a living. These are the dream matchups that Michael Chandler left Bellator for. You know, I think he left Bellator to have these matchups with the Justin Gaethjes and, you know what I mean, these type of guys that they're two bangers. They get in the ring. And they have a good time, man. And so do we watching something like this. Like, you know what I mean? Being able to witness two gladiators going at it. It's fun to watch, man. So tell me some of your thoughts on what you saw last night with that Gaethje Chandler fight.
Right off the rip, I was surprised that this fight even made it out of the first round because the punches they were landing on each other, like you could feel it through the TV. Like they were connecting with the center of each other's faces, with the center of each other's knuckles every time, as hard as they could possibly hit. And the thuds that you could hear through the TV. I bet you, like, if you went there and you were sitting cage side, the blood that you would have got on you and like the noises you would have been hearing was something that you wouldn't be able to forget. Because I'm trying to think. Ortega, maybe that Ortega fight was maybe just as brutal, where they went back and forth, and that was 5 rounds. Yeah. Can you imagine if this fight went 5 rounds? Man. I can't even. Chandler's face would have been so distorted. I don't think he would have been knocked out either. He's fucking crazy.
He's a fighter, man. I mean, he got caught. Let's be real. And for the belt, he got caught and just really never got his feet back under him. In this fight, I mean, these two just stood toe to toe and just, like you said, just bam, 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 bam. It was fun. I don't know if Chandler could have. I mean, I know he could have took the 5 personally, but yeah, like you said, his face was already distorted by 3. Can you imagine what it would have looked like after 5?
Oh my God. And he had like this, I don't know if anybody noticed it, but I was looking at his leg, Chandler's leg. I don't know if he got it from when he tried kicking him or when Gaethje kicked him, but he had this weird golf ball sized lump on his leg. It was gross, yo, but
that's some
I don't know. That was a great fight. I knew that was going to happen, and it came as advertised. It wasn't a disappointer. Everybody knew deep down, like, this is probably what it was going to be, but then every time you think it's going to be something like that, it never actually happens. But this one was everything and more. I don't think anybody could imagine that it was actually going to last. The first round itself, they both wobbled each other a couple times. In the second round, it just kept going. It was like a continuation from each round, and it was the same thing every round. And Chandler, did he walk him down with his hands down and let him punch him in the face? Like, what were you doing? Like,
yeah. Chandler's a beast though, and so was Gaethje, and that's why I was so excited. This was the fight on the card that I was really excited for, though, and you know that because I'm one of those guys that I just think that this is. It scares people. The non-UFC fan, like when they want to talk bad about this sport, this is the fights that they talk about. Like, this is like, look at this. These two guys are just beating the tar out of each other senselessly, like for no reason. And it's like, well, you know, you got to look at it like science went into this. These two guys have built their bodies up to take these punches and throw these punches back and forth and back and forth. It's not just, you know, it's crazy to watch because I like I said, I've always enjoyed the sport. I always enjoyed talking about it, analyzing it, you know, as I'm watching it, you know, sometimes, and I'm sure you're the same way. You see people in holds and you're trying to help them get out of the hold on your like on the outside of the TV. You're like,
I'm like, I'm watching the TV.
Yeah, it's like it's so fun. It's fun to watch. Like, I don't want to ever, like, you know, hurt anybody's feelings on the way we talk about things, but you know, this is one of those fights that they look back on and they're like, this is what we're talking about. This is why it's bad for these guys to do this, and you know, they don't really study the fights the way we do, and that's the way we enjoy it. Like, so, yeah, no, I was excited. I felt the decision was right. I thought that Gaethje had won the fight. But yeah, was it a banger? Definitely. It was such a good fight. Like, what it came out as advertised, and like you said, it even over delivered. You know what I mean? So that's what we watch it for. So. Then they had a couple like Shane Burgos and Billy Quarantillo. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much you watched of that fight. That was a decision fight. That kind of slowed the show down a little bit. I think they were trying to then slow the show down after the Chandler Gaethje fight. Did you watch that fight, or was that like a time when you stepped out and
I didn't step out at it.
Okay.
But that was a good scrap too. Actually, that was it. It was tough though because they went after Gaethje and Chandler, and that was just insane.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was kind of the same thing, but just a little more methodical. Like they didn't just like reckless abandonment and like go at each other and toe to toe. They did a couple times, but then they would back up and try to use range and stuff. But
yeah,
it was definitely a good one.
I thought Burgos came in banging hard. Quarantillo was good. But I think Burgos is good. Burgos is a good fighter. I think I don't know what the future holds for him. You know what I mean? But he's up in the main card, so you got to think that they're thinking something of this kid, right?
Yeah, I think his last big test that they gave him, he lost. I can't remember who it was against, but I think they gave him a main event, like on a fight night main event, and I think he lost, but. Yeah, he definitely looked good in this one. So
yeah, definitely.
They're gonna probably give him another chance.
And then before the show, you and I chatted a little bit about the Vera Frankie Edgar fight because I know you're a Frankie fan. I'm a Frankie fan. Like, got a lot of respect for Frankie and what he's done for the business and what he continues to do. Because I thought he put on somewhat of a good fight, and then Marlon was able to get to him. What do you think about that fight?
I don't know how long Frankie's going to do this for, but he's definitely not had a good run in the past few fights. But I thought was Cheeto like flipping him off and stuff during the fight. Like
they got into a little altercation at the end of a round. Yeah, where Cheeto flipped him a bird.
I don't know. I thought it was all right. I think Vera. If he thinks he's going to do something, he better start doing something because he had a pretty tough time with Frankie. So I thought it was a pretty good fight. Frankie put a good fight up, but Vera caught him with the freaking Anderson Silva front kick to the face. Wasn't good. But I was expecting Frankie to put his gloves down. Like I thought he was going to end his career right there, but he didn't even do it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. I don't know if he's ready for that yet. I mean, I like Frankie. I mean, I think he's been a great ambassador for the sport. Is it time for him to go? I don't know. I can't make that call for somebody else, but I definitely think he's getting closer to that time if it's not yet, But yeah, good little fight. I think that Marlon just a little better in shape. Looked fresher. Came at Frankie, did what he needed to. It was a good fight, but yeah, Marlon Vera wins. So, who knows what the future holds for Frankie, dude? I don't know. I don't know where he goes from here. I know that he's always gonna. Whenever you see Frankie on a card, of course we're gonna watch. I think what I mean.
At this point, he's one of those people that they're just building somebody else's name off of him, like putting that up against him so that when they beat him, then people are like, oh, that's the guy that beat Frankie Edgar. So
yeah. Then the next card of the night was the women's championship with Rose and Weili Yang, who put on a good fight. Like, they both put on a good fight. I think that they both stayed kind of away from each other. It wasn't too crazy. Like they never really got into the brawls that people were hoping they were going to get into. I think Rose left pretty clean from the fight. I think, you know, she was able to do exactly what she needed to beat Weili Zhang. I think that she came out and almost intimidated Weili Zhang. Like Weili was afraid to get too close to her because she knew that, you know, she was able to have that knockout power from a lot of different positions. And Rose is, and it's funny because Rose looks like a sweet girl, but Rose is a killer, bro. Like she gets in that ring and she can fight, man. And like she says, she's intimidating to people. Like you think that, you know, you see this sweet, nice little girl, and then she comes in and punches you in the face and kicks you upside your head. Like it's not so nice anymore. And I think that, you know, Weili was a little bit afraid of that the second time around. What you think about that?
I think you said it. I mean, she outpointed her. I mean, she took the rounds that she had to. I think they judged it a little too close. I don't know. The one judge had Zhang winning, I believe, right?
Yeah. It was a split decision.
I don't know.
I don't think he did anything to beat the champ and take the champ's title. I mean, Rose's face was clear as day, man. Like,
I guess you could say she took her down, but when she took her down, she landed like one or two punches. So I mean, and Rose, you know, she was trying to throw things up, like submissions up. I mean, I don't know. Rose is good off her back, and then she did that bicycle kick to keep her off. That was funny. But I don't know. Rose just outpointed her. It wasn't as spectacular as the first fight where she knocked her out in the first few seconds of the first round, but we kind of knew that was going to happen. Zhang's way too good to get knocked out like that twice. So
for sure,
she did what she had to do, though. She tried taking her down. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, that was a good fight. Like I said, I liked it. I mean, I thought Rose did what the champ does. You know, she outpointed her, like you said. She was able to hold on to the title. Man. Like that's what you do. You got to make them force them to come and beat you. At that point, when you're the champ, it's a different story. You know, somebody can't just really outpoint you. You know, 3 rounds to 2. I mean, they can, but I mean, really, it's got to be. You got to beat the champ to take the champ's belt. Is, you know, the way we look at it, and that's the way I feel. You know what I mean? It's like,
hey, unless your last name's Sterling.
Wow, that's true.
He's holding that belt. He's hiding with it somewhere.
I know he is. He's never gonna take it from me. I'm never giving it up. It's like you can keep that one. They've moved on. you can have that belt. They're moving on from you, buddy.
Yeah, he doesn't have a chance against Jan.
No, I mean he was getting beat up in the first fight. If Jan doesn't throw that knee, I mean you and I know, man. He was getting beat up, dude.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the main event, the big card. Kamaru versus Colby 2. I think that was it was an exciting fight the first time for sure, and I was excited to see it this time too. Go ahead and give your thoughts on this main event.
So this is the right versus the left fight. Is that what this is? Well, unfortunately, Trump lost again. But if you notice at the end, they gave each other a little, handshake, but it was pretty much like the first fight, except for Kobe. He threw a couple takedown attempts in there. Some say he got a takedown. Some say he didn't. The people that count say he didn't, so I don't know if they changed it or what, but I know the night of they didn't change it. So he didn't get any takedowns, but he definitely had him wobbled. I think if did they give him a 10-8 round for that second round where he knocked Kobe down twice?
I think one card did. One card had him winning by 49-46. I mean, every other one was 3-2.
All the judges gave it to Usman, right? By a lot, right?
It was 48-47, 48-47, and then one judge had it 49-46, which is the 2-point round that you're talking about.
Yeah, because I don't know what that guy was looking at. But, I mean, I would say that Usman won the first round he won the second round with the 10-8, so that's three rounds right there technically, and then there's the 3 more rounds, and I think Kobe beat him in those because he had him at the end of each round wobbled. He would catch him at the end of the round and not have enough time to hit him again because the round would be over. But he was piecing him up in those last 3 rounds. So I mean, I think the judges. I don't know. I don't know. I think they should have gave it a draw so that people could see this fight one more time. But I mean, I'm not mad about it. I mean, I think Usman might have done enough. So I mean, I can't really be like, oh, Kobe should have won. It was a robbery.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, I think it was the same kind of scenario as the Rose. Like, I think Kamaru did enough to win the cards.
Now listen, but if Kobe didn't get knocked down in that little 10-second period where he got up and then got knocked down again, like if you didn't have that happen, I think people would be looking at the fight a little bit different. I think that changed. Like, oh, they're like, oh, look at Usman, he's beating him, and then that just made everybody think the rest of the fight that Usman
he went on cruise control, like, oh, I see, I just proved to you guys that I can knock him down and knock him out whenever I want to. Now I'm just gonna sit back and chill.
I don't know. I thought Kobe won 3 of those rounds, and I thought Usman had a 10-8 round, and then he won the first round. But I thought it should have been a draw, but I don't count, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would. I'm good with it either way, as far as what you're saying with the draw or Kamaru winning. Do I think Kobe won the fight? No, I don't think he won the fight. Like, same thing I got there with the Weili Zhang fight. I think that he didn't do enough to beat the champ. I think he did well in those later rounds. Definitely was banging with him. Yeah, and I thought it was a good fight. I think I would still like to see a part 3. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm up for another one. Like, who? I don't know. I know you talked. We talked before the show, and you were talking about what's next for Kobe, and you were talking about Masvidal. I don't know. You want to talk a little bit about what may be next for Kobe and Covington?
They're both coming off of a loss. They have bad blood. Masvidal is about to fight Leon Edwards, right?
Yeah.
He's about to come off of another loss. So Kobe wants to fight him even if he does lose. And I think if he loses, Masvidal is not going to really have much of an option either. So I think the biggest money fight Masvidal is going to be able to have is with Kobe. Because Kobe and Masvidal can do the whole, like, we used to live together, we used to be best friends, and now I hate you. which has always been fishy to me because they hate each other, but they both like the same shit still. Like Masvidal was talking about, oh, you're a Trump supporter, and then it comes out that Masvidal is like one of the biggest Trump supporters there is, and it just made no sense. I mean, I don't know, and it still doesn't make much sense to me. I think that they're kind of might be in on it together because,
hey, why not? Why can't 2 good friends get a nice little paycheck together? You know what I'm saying?
But they do say some reckless shit about each other. I don't know what kind of relationship they did have, but they say some crazy stuff about each other. But
they're both salesmen, though, and you know that they're both there to sell tickets, sell a show. Because you and I know that if that fight was signed tomorrow to fight at 8:00 tomorrow night, everybody would be watching it. You know what I'm saying? Just to be like, oh my God, Kobe and Masvidal are gonna fight. I gotta watch it. And it's like. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to sell a show. I think it'll be a good fight. I don't know. I don't know if Masvidal has enough to fight somebody like a Kobe Covington. Kobe's fighting for the belt for a reason. I thought that Masvidal, his hype got him in front of Kamaru. I don't think that it was necessarily his skill, and you know that because you and I laughed so many times about him in the Ben Askren fight and how just. I don't know. I thought Ben Askren was a bum. I think that was a terrible trade for him for Mighty Mouse because that did not work out in the UFC's favor at all. I thought Ben Askren was terrible back in one. I thought he was even worse when he came to the UFC, and then we seen him get knocked out by Jake Paul, which is horrible. To add to Ben Askren's joke of a career. And for Masvidal to beat him, the way he did and then move on. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, he beat Diaz, who, we all know we love the Diaz brothers, but he was late in his career. Like, he's later in his career now. He's not the fighter that he was. And I don't know. I think Masvidal was able to get a championship bout based off of hype. And you know that to be true than skill. And I think Kobe's gotten it now because of skill. But you and I know there was a time where Kobe was about to get booted from the company until he became the salesman that he is today. You know what I'm saying? To help push his career. Because skill alone wasn't going to be enough for Kobe Covington to make it to where he is today.
Yep.
So,
I got one question for you.
What's up?
So who do you think is going to fight Usman next?
Where does Usman go from here? I don't know. Is it time for him to go up?
He's not doing it.
Who's in the division that you would like for him to see next? I don't know. I honestly think it's time for him to move up. But I don't know if he wants to go up.
You know why he's not going to go up, brother, right?
Why? Why do you think?
Well, who's the 185-pound champion?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if he wants to fight Izzy.
They're friends.
Yeah.
They're not gonna fight. They already said that. So Usman and Izzy, that's not gonna happen. So he's not gonna move up and do a title shot fight up there unless Izzy loses the belt somehow. But they're not gonna do that fight, and he can't go down. So he's gonna stay at 170. And he keeps on talking about retirement already. So I don't know what that means. I think he's like getting ready to lose and then just being like, all right, now I'm done. But he is kind of old. He's not young. So
yeah,
he's 35 years old too. And that's kind of old for that weight division. So I hope he sticks around long enough to fight Khamzat Chimaev. That's going to be a good one. He already ran through the whole 170-pound division. So, I mean.
Yeah, no, it depends, I guess, on Izzy now seeing that Jan Blachowicz isn't the champ at 205 anymore. I don't think Izzy's style was built to beat a Jan, but I think that he could go up and knock out a fucking Glover Teixeira. I think Glover is a different breed of fighter than Jan. You know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Glover's tough, but I saw what other kickboxer styles. I saw what John Jones was able to do to Glover Teixeira. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? What Izzy would do against him, but we'd have to see.
I don't think that'd be a good idea. I don't think that'd be a good idea. It's gonna be. See, Glover's tough because if it gets to the ground, and he's bigger than Izzy, all he has to do is really just grab a hold of him and just like pull him down or something like that. I don't think Izzy's going to be able to handle Glover on the ground. I think it's going to happen just like Jan. He flattened Jan out and choked him out so fast. Jan couldn't even wait to tap. Like he was like, "Oh, hurry up and touch my neck so I can tap." Yeah. It was the quickest tap. And he does that to a lot of people. And somebody so small like Izzy, it'll be just like the Jan fight, but he'll actually get finished. That's the way that's going to go. Yeah. Izzy's not big enough. That's all we learned from that.
He's not big enough.
Izzy was way better on the feet, and that's all fine and dandy. But when a heavyweight gets his hands on you, you're going to get dragged to the ground. And then when you're on the ground, you're not getting up because you're a stick.
That's the truth. I think, I don't know what Izzy walks around at. He probably doesn't walk around at too much more than 205, though, anyway, right? Like, those guys are cutting from 230, 235 to
He's not the type of cut. He doesn't cut a lot of weight.
That's what I'm saying. I can't imagine that he would cut too much weight even to get to that 205 mark. Like, so.
I think he's walking around probably around that, like probably 200, 205, and he probably cuts about 10, 15 pounds every time he fights.
Yeah. That's what I would think too. I think
but he's not. He's pretty big for his division, but tall wise. But he's not thick for his division. So he's just a taller guy for his division. But when you put him against like other people his height, but in a heavyweight division, they're just too wide. They're way too wide.
Yeah,
he's not. And I mean, if it's people that can't wrestle, it'll be a cool fight. But if it's somebody that can wrestle at all, it's not a good fight.
because they just take him down once. He's not going to get back up. And unlike Jan, Glover has a real black belt.
Yeah.
And his black belt is to submit anybody on the ground, and he will choke out Izzy. Izzy will turn over, and he's going to choke him out just like he did Jan. And that's exactly how that's fight. I can already see that going, and that's not good for Izzy. He doesn't want to get beat by a 43-year-old Brazilian guy.
No, hell no.
I think Glover is going to fight one more time, and then he's going to retire. He already got the belt now, so.
Yeah, which is possible. I mean, I don't know. As far as Kamaru goes, I don't know what's the future for Kamaru. I'm excited for all these upcoming UFC fights. I know next week we got Max Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez. You want to give any analysis onto that fight and what you think is going to happen for that main event?
That's going to be a good one. I don't know. I guess we're going to have to wait until next week to see what I got to say about that one after the fight. But I don't know. Yeah. If I had to pick one right now, gun to my head, Max, probably by decision.
No, I get it. Believe me, I get it. You know what I mean? Like I said, I thought last night's card was a good card. I was excited for it. There's some other stuff coming on. You know, Misha Tate's coming back at the end of the month. Jose Aldo's going to fight again early in December. And then Dustin and Charles Oliveira. December 11th is that night, that fight. Amanda Nunes is going to be on that card versus Juliana Pena, and then your boy Masvidal and Leon Edwards going to fight. That's going to be the one to watch. I think you and I will probably, if anything, we'll try to get back on, I guess, for that December 11th show, if you don't mind. We'll chop it up about that and come back on and give some feedback onto those recent shows that have just come on, and then we'll chop it up about that December 11th show, if you don't mind.
Sounds good.
All right, big guy. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. I'm going to do the usual. I don't know if you want to give yourself a shout out at all. But if not, I'll drop you backstage and finish up the show, bro.
I mean, if anybody wants to sub up to my new channel, I got clapped. My old channel's gone. All my subs are gone. I had to start all over. I think I'm down to 5 subs right now, which is not good because I was at I had a few hundred at least. So, I mean, I was up there. I had a couple out. Whatever. But sub up to my channel. Shout out to the business for letting me come out here, talk about the UFC with you guys. And that's it.
All right, big guy. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you coming on, taking some time out. Always have a good time talking this UFC shit with you, dude. Like we get on, we chop it up, and we'll do it again. We'll do it again here soon. All right.
All right, boss.
Yeah, big guy. I'm gonna park you backstage. I'll chat with you in a second.
All right.
All right. Yeah, so that's my boy Herbz2Fresh, man. Super cool dude. Loves talking the game, loves talking about UFC, talking about fighting. Guy knows a lot, has a good time talking about it with me, and I have a good time talking about it with him. We always have fun when we get our chances to just chop it up and talk about the cards. We enjoyed last night's card. Like he said, he's enjoyed quite a few fights leading up to this card. He enjoyed last week's card. And I'm looking forward to some cards coming up in the future. These next couple of weeks, there's going to be some good cards. Max Holloway's cards early, I think next week. It starts at like 4:00. So you have to check that one out. And then, the leading up cards from there. So exciting, leading up to that December 11th card. I'm excited. I'm excited to see Oliveira and Dustin Poirier kick it off, and Nunez versus Pena and Leon Edwards versus Masvidal. They finally get in the ring and handle business the way they need to. So yeah, like I said, appreciate Herbz2Fresh for coming on. I'm gonna give my final quote of the night, and I'm gonna get out of here. My final quote of the night is: "It's better to fight for something than live for nothing." That's the truth. Whenever you're out there, no matter what it is that we do throughout our days, just keep fighting, keep doing what you do. Because we always remember, you're fighting for something, and then living for nothing. So with that being said, the business, let's be real. Episode 41, over, out.